Your SQL is nothing but a language to either store or retrieve data from your database, right? So we are storing a lot of data. How do we create those tables? How do we enter the data into the system, into the database? How do we retrieve it, right? So that's something which your SQL commands would help. So broadly, they are categorized into these 4 types. Data definition basically tells us how to create those tables or create the entities. Okay, so there are various tables you'll create using this create, and then if you want to modify or add more attributes to it, all these data definition languages do that. Okay, so data manipulation basically tells how to retrieve data, how to insert data into it, how to delete or how to merge some data, right? All those manipulating data is covered here. Data control language basically gives access to some people, right? So who all can access the database, right? Only some privileged people will be given access. Not all, or not everybody in the organization would have access to all databases, right? So who exactly can access it? So you need to grant access using these commands, grant and revoke. Okay. Similarly, when the transaction is happening, so you want to make sure that you save the transaction once it's completed. You save it in the database. So you commit it, or if you want to roll back a transaction, you can use that using your transaction control, right? So most of these commands, SQL commands, are relevant from a programmer's point of view. We don't really need to know. One thing which we might want to know about is a select statement. Okay. Now, this basically tells us how to retrieve data from our database. Right, so the rest of them we are not going to create any tables, because that would be the DBS work, right? So we are not going to give access control to any of the users, or we are not going to commit any transaction or roll back any transaction, right? So that's not our job. Sometimes we might have to use this select command to see whether the data that you have created using the front end has gone and then stored into the database. How do you know whether it's stored in the database? Then you use this query language to see whether it's entered into the database or not, right? So sometimes you would also want to see what are all the data or structure of the table, right? So you tend to use this select statement for that. Okay. Now let me give a brief overview. There's a very good site called W3 Schools, where you can learn about SQL. In fact, if you want to learn, everything is there in this very good site, I would suggest. But you as a business analyst would not require any of this, right? I'm just giving you an overview about select, because some job descriptions ask for basic knowledge of SQL, right? Don't even try to master everything. Learn just about the select statement, and then just that's good enough for you. Even within select, I think the basic syntax is what you need to learn, because SQL is a very vast topic. There are people who are just doing writing SQL queries, and that is their job, right? So don't expect that you will master everything and then you would be required to know everything as a business analyst. That's not the case, right? So let's look at it. Okay. Now, so this is your database. You have so many tables, right? So you have customers, then you have suppliers, you have categories, you have employees, you have orders, order details, the products and shippers, right? So if I just click on this customers, I can see that a customer has these details. There's a customer ID, name, contact name, address, city, postal code, and country, right? So these 7 attributes are there for this customer table, and there are total 91 customers in my table, right? Similarly, if you pick up employee, right? So there are 10 employees, and these are the details that I store: ID, last name, first name, birth date, photo, and notes, right? If I look at suppliers, so this is the data that is there, right? Now, how do you get this data? Right? So usually the syntax is this: select. You'll use the word select, and star means select all the columns. Now it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 columns, right? All 8 columns will be coming in if I say star. From, and what is the table name here? So the table name is suppliers, right? So suppliers is a table. Right? So it will just list, if I run it, it will give me the same query, right? Now if I say, if I want to find out all the records in the customer statement, say from customers, right? If I run it, I'll get all the details about the customer. Okay, so I can pick up only one column also. I say I just want the customer name. Instead of all the columns there, I just want the customer name and city. Okay, so I'm just getting the customer name and the city for all those 91 records. Okay, now I only want the customers who are, let's say, in Mexico or who are in Germany. There. Okay, first let's select all the columns so that now we clearly know what are all the columns. Right, now I want all the customers where country is equal to Germany. Right, so all I'm done is I'm selecting all the columns, all the records from customers where the country, this particular column, has a value of Germany. Right, only the sub customers who are based out of Germany would be listed. Right? If I run, there are 11 customers who are in Germany. Okay. Right. So simple thing. I think that's that is good enough knowledge for you, wherein you can write your queries with some conditions. I can add more conditions also, like and customer ID less than 25. So there are only 3 records. Let's say 50. Okay. So there are 8 records which where customer ID is less than 59. Right? So it's picking up all the customers from Germany and whose customer ID is less than 50. So you can combine these conditions by using this where and clause, or you can use or clause also. Right? So this condition or this condition. Okay. So you can combine those conditions. You can select the column names rather than everything. You can just select a particular column also. So that's something which you need to know about select statement. I think that is good enough knowledge for you. Okay. So don't waste too much time on this unless they specifically ask in the interviews, in the job description, that you would need SQL knowledge. Don't spend time on this. Right. It's only during the job preparation, interview preparation time, when you look at the job description, they ask for SQL, then you can brush up your basics on SQL and the select statement and then go. Otherwise, don't waste time on the SQL. Right? So that's not an important point. Okay.